Ridley was so excited because he knew just how much rubber could be worth to the British Empire. Rubber was the plastic of the 19th century. It could be made into just about anything. Rubber boots, rubber hoods, coats, hats, hose pipes, rubber raincoats. British manufacturers wanted as much as they could get their hands on. Millions of rubber trees were planted in Singapore's neighbouring British territory, Malaya. And thousands of workers were brought in from another colony, India, to work on the vast new estates. It transformed the country. By the 1930s, 3/4 of the world's rubber was coming from here. British companies produced most of it. All over the empire, British ships sailed home with cargoes of rubber or cotton or bananas. They went back to the colonies loaded with things manufactured in Britain. Teapots, saucepans, knives, even cloth caps. But one product would put Britain and its most important colony on a collision course: cotton. British factories took raw cotton from India and spun it into cloth. By the 1920s, Lancashire's cotton mills dominated the world market. By contrast, the once flourishing Indian cloth trade had virtually collapsed. They had to rely instead on cloth woven in Britain. For many Indians, it was the final insult. The leader of the Indian independence movement, Mahatma Gandhi, burned his suit and adopted the dress of an Indian peasant. He took the spinning wheel as a symbol of Indian freedom and told his countrymen to stop buying British cloth. The effect of Gandhi's boycott was felt 4,500 miles away in the heartlands of Lancashire's weaving industry. Lancashire had done well out of the empire. At one time, almost 2/3 of its manufactured cotton had been sold back to India.
But now times were hard. No fewer than 74 of the mills had closed, and angry, unemployed mill workers blamed Gandhi for his boycott of British cloth.
In towns like Darwin, whose mills were used to weaving cloth for the empire and beyond, there was frustration and despair. Then came extraordinary news. Gandhi was coming to Britain and would visit Lancashire. He was entering the lion's den, coming to see for himself the effect the Indian boycott was having on textile workers here.
Then came the little man, still scantily clad, but with an extremely wet blanket around his tiny frame. I'm sure he must have been frozen. We were in thick overcoats.
The local paper praised Gandhi's celebrated sympathy for the poor. Surely his heart would soften at the sight of so many hundreds of unemployed weavers. The peace and simplicity of the place, the Lancashire air, it was hoped would soothe what it called deep differences of opinion. Gandhi arrived in Darwin on September the 26th, 1931.
Crowds turned out to wonder at and to welcome him. For those with eyes to see, this was a hugely significant moment. The charisma, the excitement, belonged not to a defender of empire, but to a would-be dismantler of it.
I am thankful that I got this opportunity of being surrounded by these happy children and seeing the homes of the poor.
Mill workers took their children to see this remarkable visitor. Some of them still remember it.
Hello, you must be Ruth. I'm Jeremy. Hello. How do you do? Can I come in? Thank you. What did your mother tell you you were going to do when you set off that day to go and see Gandhi?
Well, she just said, we're going to see a very important man from India, and he's going to make things better, we think, with the cotton trade, which I didn't understand what he was talking about, what she was talking about, because I was only 7 at the time, you know. And I remember all the people there and where I stood, you know. And this little man came on, and I looked at my mother and I said, which is Gandhi, Mother? She said, it's that man there. And I said, but he's not an important man. I said, he's a poor little man, he has no clothes on.
He had sort of a white tight cloth between his legs.
Well, it was like a big nappy.
Yes, it did, to be honest.
Just looked like
Yes.
that, and then and this thing round
Yes.
his, and it was hugged round him like that. And he'd nothing on his feet, only a pair of sandals.
Yes.
And I was horrified because I said, he's no shoes on, Mother. You know,
Yes.
I was really disappointed.
But he obviously had amazing charisma that you two remember him so vividly.
It's still with us.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
80 years after the event.
Yes.
80 years.
Gandhi had not come all the way from India to call off his boycott. He had a far bigger vision: to make the workers of Britain sympathetic to the plight of the Indian people and to the cause of Indian independence. For Gandhi, it wasn't his boycott that was to blame, but the system of empire itself.
The workers had been hoping that when Gandhi saw their plight, he'd call off the boycott. Well, Gandhi listened, but he didn't budge. And when someone said, but we have 3 million unemployed, he just replied, I've 300 million.
The boycott, and others like it, helped inspire many of those 300 million to protest against British rule. They would demand and eventually get independence in 1947.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
Well over half a century has passed since that historic moment. Britain has still not escaped its imperial past, and neither in many ways has India. I'm waiting to meet a group of people who devote much of their lives to celebrating one of Empire's more curious remnants: the Royal Enfield motorcycle. These classic bikes have been close to Indian hearts since before the Second World War. Once they were made in Worcestershire, but production stopped around the time the Empire ran out of steam. By then, Indians were building them for themselves.
ये बुलेट मेरी दामन दिलों का निशान, Enfield Bullet, गजब की सवारी.
You're bored too, aren't you? The Royal Enfield motorcycle has become as much a feature of Indian roads as painted trucks and wandering cows.
Thank you for coming. I would like to thank you too. Now, who's the chief here? You're the chief. You're Amit, are you?
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. I want to ask you about what is it? Your club is they're the
Royal Riders Club.
the Royal Riders Club. Hi, I'm Jeremy.
Hi.
Hello.
Amit.
And how many members have you got?
70 members.
70. Well, you've got half of them here.
Yeah, half of them are here.
And what is it that you only ride Royal Enfields?
Yeah, only.
How many of these are bullets? They're all bullets, are
They're
they?
all bullets.
That was the great slogan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Built like a rifle, goes like a bullet.
Yeah.
And why do you like the Royal Enfield?
It's for the man.
It's for the man. It's a
masculine thing.
a masculine bike.
Yes, obviously.
Don't you let girls ride it?
On the back seat.
Only on the back seat, I see.
This is the symbol of freedom.
Symbol of freedom.
Symbol of freedom. When we ride this bike, we feel that we are free.
You say it's a symbol of freedom.
Yes.
But isn't it a symbol of the British Empire too?
No, because we take the best part of the regime and not the worst part. That is why we say this is the symbol of freedom. We have taken the best part, and thereafter now we are free.
Good. Got a big head too. I feel more virile already.
This great, old-fashioned machine, invented in Britain, now made in India, seems to sum up the changing fortunes of the two countries. Their long, troubled marriage and their divorce. Next time, did Empire do any good? Some believed they were bringing light into the world. Others simply that they had a right to rule it. Did the visionaries of Empire help or harm the modern world?
To order a free Open University poster exploring the legacy of Britain's empire, go to bbc.co.uk/empire or call 0845 366 8021.
And you can take a closer look at the British Empire with the book of the series, Jeremy Paxman's Empire: What Ruling the World Did to the British.
As the spending review takes effect across the country, what does the future have in store for the economy where you live? We debate the hopes and the fears for your local area with some of the key players. With concerns about rising unemployment, a real desire for growth, and pressures on our income, there's plenty to talk about. Our Economy, The Debate, tonight at 11:05 on BBC One.
The news at 10 o'clock now on BBC One and BBC One HD with Hugh Edwards.
Tonight at 10, a major terror alert in southwest France after yet another gun attack. 3 Jewish children and their teacher are shot dead at a school in Toulouse. The authorities say the same gunman was also responsible for killing 3 soldiers earlier this month.
Cet acte est odieux